of this 3-part series on selecting your journal for publication. Okay, so you have something to contribute. You've done some research and you want to share it, and that's great. As I indicated in the first video, there's a lot of pressure on you to get published, but we need to bear in mind that a publication is a contribution to the knowledge project. It's about joining a conversation, and this is the fundamental issue that should drive your selection of a journal. Where is the conversation to which you're contributing taking place? Who are you citing and where are they publishing? Whether you want to add to what they are saying or whether you want to challenge some of it, the key issue is where are those people publishing? Following this rule will save you from getting caught up by predatory publications, which is the topic of conversation of the third video. The issue of where the conversation is happening extends to the issue of readership. Who do you want to read your article? Who did you have in mind when you wrote it? Is the reader a South African, or is it for an international readership? Is the reader a specialist in your field, or is your article transdisciplinary? You need to publish in the journal that is read by your target readership. You'll need to check the aims and scope of the journal, and this is always available on the journal website. Don't increase your chance of rejection by sending a qualitative study to a quantitative journal. Don't send a small-scale study to a journal that focuses on international comparative studies. So you need to spend a bit of time finding the right fit for your article. You might be interested in ensuring that you publish in journals that are high profile in your field. If this is a key issue for you, then you're going to want to look at citation indices. You can have a look below the video for some links to more information on this. Finally, you will want to know how accessible your article will be and whether it is accredited. For the rest of this video, we'll consider these two issues. Let's take a look a bit more closely at what accredited outputs means. But in this video, we're just going to be looking at accredited journal articles. At the moment, there are 6 lists of journals that are accredited. The first one is the DHET list, which is our South African list, the International Bibliography of Social Sciences, IBSS, Norwegian Level 2, Cielo, Scopus, and Web of Science. Any of the thousands of journals that you find on any of these 6 lists is automatically accredited. You might be wondering how it is that those who manage these various lists get to decide which journals belong on the list or don't. By and large, the articles have to go through a double-blind peer review process before being accepted for publication. The journal has to have an editorial board comprising people with credibility in that particular field, and it has to include editors from various countries. There needs to be a quality and consistency in the journal. They have to publish as frequently as they say they will publish. Their articles have to be proofread, and then they also have to have a rejection rate. The rule of thumb is that the more prestigious the journal is, the higher the rejection rate is. In South Africa, we also have a new regulation that the journal has to have at least 75% of its contributions from outside of the institution that hosts that journal, so that we can't all just be publishing our immediate colleagues' works. Each accredited journal article accrues 1 full-time equivalent as part of the university's block grant. The block grant is then used to run the university. Everything from the library to the gardens to the academic departments to the electricity bill, all of these things are paid for from the block grant, and 1 portion of the block grant is made up of research output in the form of accredited journal articles. The specific rand value of the FTE, the full-time equivalent, varies from year to year because the national budget gets divided up. Of course, the single FTE for a single journal article on one of the accredited lists doesn't necessarily just go to one university. It gets divided up between the universities represented by the authors of that article. So, for example, in this case, the one FTE for this article would be divided 50% going to UCT because Kasturi Bahari Leak is one of the authors, and 50% going to Rhodes University because I'm one of the authors. So that one FTE is split 50-50. In this case, there are 3 authors, so a third of the FTE would go to Stellenbosch for Max Blackie's input, a third would go to University of Cape Town for Kate's input, and then a third would come to Rhodes University. In this example, 100% would go to Rhodes University because although there are 2 authors, we both share the same institutional affiliation. And then let's have a look at this case where, again, the same 2 authors, Chrissy and myself, but it's 0% FTE that goes to Rhodes University because Crystal, Critical Studies in Teaching and Learning, is not yet accredited. Chrissy and I wanted to publish in Crystal because it's entirely open access, which aligns with our value system, and also because it's where the readership that our article is directed to will be reading. And so for us, the perfect home for this particular piece of work was Crystal, even though we know that it won't be accruing FTEs for our institution because it's too new and it hasn't yet built up the required history before it can be added to one of those lists. The open access movement is growing at a rapid rate. We need to understand that academic publishing is seriously big money, and many of us have a problem with the model that keeps the profit and the access to knowledge in the hands of just a few countries and a few institutions. Let's think for a moment about how academic publishing happens. It starts with an academic or a team of academics doing some research. The university is paying the salary of those academics and is paying for all the equipment being used. The academics then write up a paper with a view to disseminating the knowledge that they've produced. That academic then submits the paper to an accredited journal. The editors of that journal then send that article out blind to reviewers who then spend a lot of time reading through and commenting on that article without any payment. And again, those reviewers are academics whose salaries are being paid by universities. Finally, after various iterations, the academic article will hopefully be published. And the academics and the universities, who were all part of that process without any payment, then have to pay a significant amount of money to have access to the databases and the journals in which those articles are published. Because many universities and academics cannot afford access to these expensive databases, many academics, universities, research institutions are calling for alternative models of academic publishing, and chief amongst these is open access. There are many variations of open access models. In some, the costs of the journal are borne by the institution that hosts the journal, and no money changes hands. And in others, the author's university is expected to pay upfront for the publication of the article. But in all cases, the final product is available free of charge online, accessible to everyone. The NRF and many other institutions in South Africa are putting their weight behind the open access movement and are calling for all academics to ensure that any research that has been funded by them has to be readily accessible by all. Many open access journals are accredited and are on one or more of those 6 accredited lists, although many might not be. So you need to check the 6 accredited lists before you choose an open access journal if accreditation is particularly an important consideration for you. The Directory of Open Access provides an excellent resource for checking the quality of open access journals. So selecting your journal takes a bit of time, and there's a number of issues to consider, chief amongst them being the selection of the journal that will attract the readers to whom you wish to speak. I always suggest making 2 choices. Journal A, which is your first choice and to which you will design your submission, and then Journal B, which you keep in mind in case Journal A rejects. Remember the thing about the rejection rate? If your article gets rejected by Journal A, you'll hopefully get some feedback which can help you revise the article as you see fit, and you can then submit it to Journal B. Having a Journal B already lined up can often help you to move along and deal with the rejection. Just remember though that you can't send an article to more than one journal at a time. You have to wait for the review process to be complete. Thanks for watching this video. The final video in this 3-part series looks at the issue of predatory publication.